I think most of you have heard of the story of David and Goliath and how David defeated Goliath. If you haven't read the story, I would advise you to go read it up, to go look it up and read it. It's on First Samuel's 17. So what happens is that David was a young man who goes up against this giant Goliath, and then he defeats him. So this is the story that is quoted by most pastors, especially within the prosperity gospel movement. They seem to take it out of context, though. They seem to make this look like it's Christians are David, and then our problems or enemies are Goliath. Let's listen to Stephen Furtick's interpretation of the story, how he interprets the story to relate to his congregation or to individual members of his congregation and their problems. Now listen to what he says, and you will actually realize later, but we're going to discuss this. I'm going to discuss it, but let's play the video first.
What did Goliath have that David needed that David didn't know that he would need? It's right in verse 50. It's right in verse 50. It said he came to the battle without a sword in his hand. Spoiler alert, he left with one. Who was carrying it? His enemy. I declare, come on y'all, I'm trying to be good, but I declare, I know how this story ends. Goliath has got your sword. Goliath has got your grace. And if you want to see the victory, you're going to have to defeat what's standing in front of you, but you don't have to do it on your own. Come on, let's stir something up. All over the whole church, University City, Blakeney, I want every single warrior, every single worshiper to declare, I know how this story is.
Okay, that's the end of the video. So what Stephen Furtick is saying here is that your enemy has your grace. I don't know what he means by that, or what scripture can he use to substantiate that. But I can't think of any verse in the Bible that says our enemy has our grace. Within the context of my, within the understanding of the word grace, within my understanding of the word grace, though, I don't know any verse that says that, because God said to Moses that he will be gracious to whom he wants to be gracious, and he will show mercy to whom he wants to show mercy. This is another verse that Paul also quotes in Romans. I think it's Romans 9. Yeah, so I don't know what he means when he says our enemy has our grace. But my understanding is that David's courage he didn't just become confident. His courage was influenced by earlier events, things that happened earlier. Because David, you'll remember that he fought with a lion and a bear, and he killed both. So David knew that in 2 previous occasions God had delivered him, and he now had the courage and confidence, and he had faith in God that God again would deliver him from Goliath. So what basically the story is that it shows the greatness of God and his handiwork. It shows God's power. Basically what was in the story is that the event wanted to display God's power. The event wanted to show how God is powerful, that how God is always willing to fight for his people. So this is not like, because this is story because he says that if you want to win the victory, you have to defeat what's standing in front of you. So what's standing in front of people could be obstacles, problems that makes them not be able to achieve their goals, people who oppose them. So then those people have the sword that they can use to take those people down. They have their grace. So this is my understanding of the story, is that it shows the power of God and how he delivers his people. Not that we should have courage and confidence. It does not apply to our personal lives like that. That we should have confidence and courage to fight what's standing in front of us and defeat it. Because what upset David about the Goliath is that he was blaspheming the name of God. He wanted the Israelites to prove to them that they can conquer him and that their God existed. I mean, David stood up when no man wanted to fight Goliath and said, I was going to fight him. I'm going to fight him. So he's the one who had the courage, but not because he believed in himself, but because he believed in God. So this is the part that they left out. I don't know whether they do it on purpose. I want to believe they do it on purpose, because I mean, Stephen Furtick has advanced a lot in the previous years. He has grown a lot from spraying people with water guns to twisting the scriptures in this manner. It clearly shows that he has grown a lot, because he has a very unique interpretation of the scriptures. He has a very unique twisting interpretation of the scriptures. So this is what I wanted to share, that the verse does not apply to us the way people say it does, because there's an article on Desiring God. I'm going to drop it on the description below. But basically is that this is not about our personal courage to face overwhelming problems and enemies. No, this is about God. The Bible is about God, not about us. We have bigger problems. Like our sinful nature, which we need God to overcome. We have bigger problems like people who oppose God and people who work so hard to take us away from faith, those are the giants that we are facing within our spiritual lives, and we need God to conquer those. So this is Ephesians 6 verse 12. It says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic power of the present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places." And then another problem that we're facing is that we have to love our enemies. So it says, "But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you." Those are the moral of this, like those are the problems that we have as Christians, that we have challenges from all sides, from all four corners of the earth, that attacks on our spiritual lives. But regardless of that, we still have to love our enemies. We still have to love those who oppose us. So our Goliath is, as according to this article in Desiring God, I'm going to leave the link to the article in the description below as well. So it says our spiritual force, okay, just repeats the same thing, but it says our spiritual forces of darkness in the heavenly places, those are our indwelling Goliath. That's our indwelling sin is our Goliath. You see, we are fighting against sin. That's the giant that overcomes us. I mean, we fall into temptation before we can even experience the full force of temptation, unlike our Lord, who was tempted yet without sin. But this is basically what I wanted to share with you guys. If you haven't read the story, I would advise you to go read it up. It's on 1 Samuel 17. And another thing that I wanted to quickly share is the story of Gideon, who went with 300 and something men into a battle, and he won against 60,000, I think. And guess what? It's God who said he should reduce the number to 300 and something, because God wanted to be the one who was fighting in the battle. He wanted to be the one who fights the battle. He wanted to be the one in the forefront fighting for the Israelites. That's the same thing with David. God wanted to be the one fighting for David when he gave David a sling and few stones, because he knew that Goliath was not his match. Goliath was not a match compared to God. It's the same thing that we should understand about the story, that it's not about us, but it's about God. The Bible is not about us, but God. Thank you very much.